Listen, Valuetainment has done an interview with Dame Dash. I'm so sick of this double talking ass man. He sits here and say, yeah, I know what happened to Aaliyah. But he's disappointed at all the fans for not speaking up. Who does this guy think he is? Because he's talking to the host of Valuetainment and he's not giving them the opportunity to ask the questions. He said he don't want to listen to a conspiracy because he knows the truth. Then when the guy started asking him the questions, he's like, but I want to know what you heard. I want to know what you heard. Because there's no great answer. This is what I am going to say. By this guy right here, doing a lot of interviews with the mob and all this different stuff. And he's very well connected as far as knowing a lot of big time people. Dame says to him, I know the truth. I already know what happened to Aaliyah. But I don't want to deal with a lot of bullshit. And I was beefing with Leo Cohen. I was beefing with Steve Stout. I was beefing with Harvey Weinstein. This is what he says. But if he's beefing with all these people and it's 20-some years later and he loved Aaliyah so much and he's so gangster, then the same way the fans didn't want to speak up and they were disappointed, he said it was common. And he's talking about how Jay-Z did a tour with R. Kelly. And how can a man marry a 15-year-old? Well, let's keep it 100. He was Jay-Z's partner when Jay-Z, and when they had Foxy Brown over there. He was Jay-Z's partner when Jay-Z was gallivanting around singing Sunshine with Babyface and Jay-Z. He was Jay-Z's partner when all of those little bitty ass girls was hanging around them doing videos and all this different stuff. Gloria Velez said she was 16 and something happened to her. She was in a Big Pimpin' video. Now, as far as him trying to act like he don't want to deal with certain shit, if you love Aaliyah, if Dame Dash loved Aaliyah, and that was the love of his life, that guilt is eating his ass up. Because you could sit around and say, every time they say something about Jay-Z, he said, some people get to the point where we don't even talk about him so much. Now, if you scared to lose your life, you scared to lose your freedom, and you scared to do what Cassie did, then you just talking in circles. Because as soon as the guy said, he put a name on it. Then Lenny Kravitz offered to do this and do that. Well, now, all of a sudden, and I said in one of my videos, I'm like, Lenny Kravitz be with Steve Harvey and all the rest of them, just like Denzel Washington does. Now, I'm not in Hollywood, but I'm telling you that because I know it's for a fact. Because somebody close to me told me. So, you cannot act like you, well, you can. He can't walk away clean and get mad at Jay-Z for doing an album with R. Kelly because he keeps saying he wasn't this, that. But if you were so gangster, like he always talking real fast, like he so this and that, then why you didn't beat R. Kelly ass? If you were so gangster and you didn't want to call the police, then why did R. Kelly get the opportunity to even make it to prison? If he was so gangster, then why is Jay-Z steady walking around here after he allegedly ganked him out the record label? But Dame doesn't want to talk, and I'm not defending Jay-Z or R. Kelly. I think they both are sick people. But I also think that Dame is sick too. Because back in those days, Dame was always drunk. Dame was, well, I'm not going to say drunk. Dame was always partying. And a lot of people left the record label and they chose to go with Jay-Z. But they keep talking about Jay-Z and Dame. What about the other guy that owned the record label with him? Dame talks crazy to his own son on TV. He talks crazy to women. He has a violent, in my opinion, violent personality. And he sits there and put that woman on a pedestal. But no one wants to talk about when Rachel White was accused of having an affair with Jay-Z. So, although Aaliyah chose up with Dame, and they did say they was in love. I don't know why Dame keep trying to act like he never been around R. Kelly, because that's a lie. Anybody that was back in those days before they decided to do the best of both worlds, Dame is lying because I don't know if you guys can find a picture, but he's not being honest because Aaliyah, rest in peace, had been around Jay-Z and had been around R. Kelly before she died. And anybody that's in the industry or anybody that was around at the time know that it's the truth. Now, she may not have been around all three of them like she was out in love, but Dame had been around R. Kelly and Jay-Z and Aaliyah all at once. I'm not saying on a continual basis, but I can't remember the event. But I remember them all being like not from a distance, like they all. Those three was talking and Aaliyah was with Dame. So he's a lie. Because I think it's a lot, like some people said she was sold around the industry. I don't know. But Aaliyah wasn't just tied to Dame. Now, that was the guy she was with. And I do remember, like I said, a long time ago when they came to Missouri, they did a concert. I forgot what theater it was, but it was out in the county somewhere. And I remember that when they got to the part about Aaliyah, not Aaliyah, Amir, that rapper that used to be with them. When they came to St. Louis, Amir was not with them. And I would never forget this. Dame was standing on the stage. Jay-Z was standing on the stage. They did a tribute to Aaliyah. But Jay-Z was the one that was doing the most talking. Like he was in love. He was like, I don't know if he called her baby girl. He was talking about Aaliyah like, this is my friend. This is my friend and we used to have so much fun. Now, anybody that probably seen the concert, I'm sure they do the same concert city after city. But it was a part after the tribute where Jay stood next to him and Dame Dash started crying on the stage. And Jay was kind of like holding him. So it was clearly hurt. But she was already dead. And Jay-Z had already been hanging out with R. Kelly. I don't know why Dame is trying to act like it's just certain bullshit you don't want to deal with. When you're talking about a human life, that's not bullshit. If somebody got you by the balls and you really a stand-up man like you act like you are, and you want somebody you disappointed in the fans, well, motherfucker, I'm disappointed in you as a man. How can you say you love somebody and then you say he didn't marry her because she's 15? First of all, you don't need to blame the fans. Blame a motherfucking mama. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. You want to be disappointed in fans? But you're the same one just said, when people don't live your lifestyle, you don't pay attention to what they say, because that's how a lot of people go crazy, because they worry about what people that they don't know think of them. So you keep, and then you say it's an oxymoron. But what's the oxymoron is for someone to sit on a platform and don't allow a man to speak. But it's like, it sounds like you're trying to silence the host so he won't say certain things. But since he's so connected, when I say connected, I don't mean affiliate. I mean like he has so many mob connections. And since the mob has been proven, even with this thing with Diddy, for being, some of the people from the mob has been proven to be extorting a lot of black rappers. And I've talked about it on my channel. People talked about it. Y'all act like y'all scared to talk about the mob, whether it's the Russian mob, whether it's the Italian mob, but the ones that's extorting everybody just happen to be Jewish. I'm not talking about what country they from. They just happen to be mob members, and they are all, most of them the ones I heard about are Jewish. And I didn't go by what I heard. I went and looked it up and made sure I knew what I was talking about, and I put it on my channel. A lot of people are afraid, say you don't want to deal with certain bullshit. If you love somebody, everybody talk about what Cassie should have did, how tough they was. Here's a girl that was only 18 or 19, 16, however old she was when she met Diddy, that came before everybody and said, hey, listen, she was a sex slave. Hey, listen, she did this. Hey, listen, she was beat. Hey, listen, she had been doing drugs. This is a woman that took a chance to deal with a whole lot of bullshit. This is a woman that got 2 kids and a husband that could lose her life at any moment. But she stood up. And she's the reason why a lot of people are going to get justice. But then you say you was beefing with Harvey Weinstein. Was you beefing with Harvey Weinstein, or was you not fucking with Harvey Weinstein? Because I'm not saying this is true. A lot of people have said a lot of bad stuff about Dame. Let me put this down, you guys. Sorry. A lot of people have said a lot of. Give me a second. I'm sorry. A lot of people have said a lot of bad stuff about Dame Dash, and
live from the Rich Eisen Show.
And I don't respect nobody that can say they love somebody and they street and they this and that all them years ago. But when he seems to know a lot about a lot of stuff. And he talks about Aaliyah. He talks about, everything that Jay-Z them did and blah, 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 blah. Talk about R. Kelly. But Dame was doing some wild shit back then too. I've never heard about Dame messing with no underage girls. But at the same time, see, look what he said. He said, Dame Dash heated debate, Diddy drama, and Jay-Z feud. But when I just looked at this 3 days ago, but when I just looked at this title, I don't know if it's the same episode, it said something like Dame Dash admits or reveals Aaliyah's something. I don't know if that's the right title or not, but this is the podcast I was looking at. So, this whole thing with Dame Dash, if he knows so much, then why has he never been investigated? Probably because the people that did something to him are people that's very powerful. But and that man was right, he said, but if you this and that, you love somebody. He didn't want to hear what he had to say. But I'm going to go back and watch this interview. And I know you guys are like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on with this damn TV right now because it's like literally, I can't even turn it. Look, I'm literally trying to get back to the thing because I don't want to play the podcast. I don't want to play the podcast. And I'm not going to because, you technically can't. I don't want to put nobody, I don't want to put anybody channel on my video. So just bear with me, you guys, and just look at the screen. When are men and women going to hold themselves accountable? Because this guy asked him, do you believe in accountability? Dame Dash may not want to deal with a lot of bullshit. But Dame Dash, just like Kanye West and Jay-Z and everybody else, when Jay-Z go down, mark my word, Dame Dash is going to go down with him. And the reason why I say that is because you don't have to do anything to underage girls to go down with Jay-Z. Because they started that company and they did a lot of stuff. They was friends for a long time. So if Dame Dash, pay attention to this. If Dame Dash knows what happened to Aaliyah, but he said he's not going to say it on the air, but he'll tell him, what the fuck make his coward ass go to this man right here, who he knows is connected? When I say connected, I don't mean like illegally. I mean like he knows a lot of people, because he has a variety of interviews on his channel, including mobsters. And Sammy the Bull was on her, and Sammy the Bull said, being in the mob is like it's a secret society. What Illuminati is a secret society. And those fraternities, like they say, Diddy is a part of the Black Boule, which is connected to the Masons. They all are secret societies. I just don't know. I say it all the time. I don't know about the Illuminati. I just hear people saying that. I've never heard of them until people on TV said. So I don't like to speak of it as if I know about it. I'm just speaking of it and to say if it does exist. I don't know why people keep missing the point that at the end of the day, everything in this country is 3 levels. And everything in this country always seems to, what people call the elite, are always people who are originated from over there in Europe. The UK, Eurasia, and a lot of those people just happen to be Jewish. I'm not talking about Jewish because they're from Jerusalem. I'm talking about Jewish because all Jewish people don't migrate, didn't originate from Jewish, just like all black people don't just come from Africa. They may have came from Africa all 1200 BC and all this stuff if you believe in that. But people are born in different areas of the world. That's like they call Europe now, and they call Asia now. But if you look into your world history, you will realize that before the United States, separated the 7 colonies, you know what they call Independence Day. Let me just say this. Pay attention to what I'm about to say. And I've never said this on my channel, but I'm going to go ahead and say it now. Because a lot of people say you're very good at saying stuff without saying stuff. So I'm going to say this directly. When the people from the British Army, and the people from the Irish Army was in the United States back in 1776, 1775, I think, when they got it. It was either 1774 or 1775 when it was July 1775 or 1776 when the British Army and the Irish Army was in the United States. Now listen what I'm about to say. They had a disagreement with America. Mind you, a disagreement is not a war. They had a disagreement. The British returned to Britain. The Irish returned to Ireland. But if you know anything about the military, Ireland used to serve as a backup, so to speak, like an alliance with Britain. Okay? A lot of people back then were Catholic or Jewish religion. I'm not talking about, listen, okay, hold on. There's a difference between being a Jewish person that originates from a country where, like black people, if I'm black and I'm from Africa, then I would be a black African American. If I was a Jewish person from Jerusalem, then I can be a Jewish American. But if I am from Europe and I am Italian, or if I'm from Sicily, all those different places, then okay, say Sicily. I would be a Sicilian American. But just because I'm Sicilian, because a lot of Italians are Catholics, but there's also Catholic Italians who are Jewish in religion. A lot of the Jewish Italians are in LA. A lot of Italian Americans of Jewish faith, meaning religion, are very wealthy. And a lot of Jewish people, a lot of Italian people who are Jewish are also mob members. And a lot of Italian people who are Catholics are also mob members. But when it comes down to the extortion and stuff like that, and I'm saying this, and this is not me putting a jacket on nobody Italian, I'm telling you guys because I talk very candidly about African Americans. Therefore, if I'm going to talk about it, then I'm not going to be afraid to talk about people like Sammy the Bull and people like these other people that have been accused of doing a lot of stuff. But if you watch this man right here channel, he has a very long interview with Sammy the Bull, and it's almost 4 years ago. Watch that. I just literally watched it like last week. Watch that interview. That video, that interview is very informative, and he's very, very candid about a lot of things that he's done, as well as the reason why he snitched on John Gotti and what happens to people when they snitch. Because in Hollywood, they always say, oh, you can leave Hollywood. You can not be a part of whatever it is, but you have to get the money back. It's a game. It's like slavery. They're going to build you up and invest in you, just like if you work at McDonald's or you work wherever. They build you up and teach you how to make money. And they won't bother you. You know, you just like, you don't have to go over there and be part of this and that. You just make it on your own and you're just fine. You just won't get all the resources. You won't get to the top like you want to get to. Some people make it to the top. Some people lose their mind. It's nothing more than the mental warfare, in my opinion, that has become tainted by drugs, sex, and the illusion of superiority. And since a lot of African Americans, black people, melanated people, whatever you choose to refer to yourself as, if you are black, a lot of us have never, unless we were born into wealth, which very few of us have been. No, that's not true, because there was a lot of wealthy black people who were never slaves and who were also not in these religious cults or these organizations that are religious based, or these organizations that are military based. That's why a lot of these people get beaten and mentally abused and sworn into secrecy, and they pick up such ways of deviance in its sexual nature. They develop gambling addictions, because all this stuff ties in together. And if you can look at my very first video, I said, no matter what people think, sex and drugs will always unite all people of all races from all income tax levels. Because when you are a woman, all you had to do is be beautiful, and you could come from your prostitution stroll, and somebody would dress you or put you in an outfit. Either gonna prostitute you out by men that look like him, not saying these things, or they're gonna be looking like Damon Dash, or they may look like somebody of another race. But in this country, they're gonna either be Russian, they're gonna either be white, which they could be white in this country, so I don't like to use the word white, because there's no such thing as a white person. Nobody is white. No one's skin is white. Nobody. There's not a white person that's white. Just like you very seldom see black people are actually black like a crayon. But you can see some black people that are black, that are, look like a crayon. So, I'm getting off subject. The point is, people don't like when I talk about this stuff, because a lot of black people, a lot of us, have been conditioned to think in a victim-like state and stay in a submissive-like state. And I'm going to go into detail about that in my next video. But I'm not a Kirk Franklin fan. And I'm going to do a whole video, and I'm going to add a clip from Club Shay Shay, because I know that Club Shay Shay will let people use some of his material. I want you to hear something that Kirk Franklin said about the slave Bible. A lot of people unfollow me when I brought up the whole idea about how slaves used to be allowed to read, and how slaves was allowed to sing slave hymns. A lot of black people, in my opinion, a lot of African Americans don't like to talk about these things, for the same reason why Damon Dash, Damon Dash is showing you right now. He says, I don't want to have to deal with the bullshit. But if Aaliyah was going to be your wife, then you would have been a poor excuse of a husband, because the husband is supposed to protect his wife's honor. She's deceased. And you still, all these years later, you don't want to deal with no bullshit? But if he was so busy being in love, then you would have dealt with the bullshit when she was alive, and maybe she would still be alive. Because if you say Hype does that type of shit, you and Hype Williams did a lot of videos together, and you have yet to accept responsibility for what you have done. Hype Williams did what a lot of what Sammy the Bull was saying that people do. Once they tell or break the code, then they can go head on, and they could pretty much speak about whatever. Well, Hype Williams just vanished into obscurity after Aaliyah died. But you know who else vanished into obscurity? Fatima Robinson. I think that's her last name, the choreographer. What about the people that was on the plane that survived? Have anybody ever thought to go interview those survivors of that plane? Have anybody ever thought, if Lenny Kravitz's name keep popping up, then why is nobody interviewing Lenny Kravitz? Oh, probably because Lenny Kravitz, Steve Harvey, and the rest of them, that's tied to those whole people, Ricky Smiley and all that little crew. The ones that were the purple and yellow fraternity, which are still part of that black boule. Or are they part of the boule? The fraternities are not called black boule. They said the Illuminati version of it is called the black boule. But the boule is a group of very distinguished black men who are gentlemen who's supposed to carry themselves with a certain class. And I'm surprised that Steve Harvey is even one of them, because he's not a Colin Powell, and he's not a lot of those men who are actually part of the boule, who does a lot of stuff for the community. Not saying they're not wearing a mask. I'm just telling you that the boule is actually a fraternity. These fraternities, and I'm going to say it over and over again, were started by, they wasn't started by the Masons. The Masons are the ones who gave these people, black people, the first Black Lodge. It was called Black Lodge number 1, if I'm not mistaken. And that was given to, damn, I forgot the number. I got it on my chart. I don't want to give you the wrong number. I think it was 14 black men that were chosen by British men who were not British Americans. They were British men, and they were military British men. And the Masons was a military cabin. So if you go back and look at the way that fraternities indoctrinate people, I'm not going to use the word initiate, choose people to put into the things they have to do. I'm not going to use the word ritual because it's almost like I'm saying that devil worshiping exists, and I don't really want to get off into all of that because everybody has a higher self and everybody has a lower self, and whether people want to believe it, the world not running around here doing all these crimes and pedophilia. It's people, and those are people who are, everybody want to say they damage to their mind. Some people cannot be disciplined. Some people do not have discipline, and some people cannot control their carnal flesh. Some people cannot control their carnal desires, and some people have been taken advantage of, and they have been introduced to a lifestyle that in other countries is acceptable behavior. R. Kelly married Aaliyah, and Dame Dad said he didn't marry her. He did marry her. It was a crime for what he did, but he actually married her because the paper said he was married. He trying to keep Aaliyah's image, whatever, but it's better to tell the truth and say who the fuck she was, because no one's going to blame a little girl who was turned out as a child, and everybody wants to act like her mother and them is so hurt. She didn't do all that by herself. Barry Hankerson was her uncle. Her mother, the only person I think that's really should not be blamed for anything is her brother Rashad, because you can look at him and tell he was protective of his little sister. You can look at him and tell that was like his twin. You can look at him and see Aaliyah through him. But when they put her in that Queen of the Damn movie, I knew that something was odd about it, because that movie, if you ever watch it, the movie was so eerily real. The way she moved her body, the way she started to act, it was almost as if she was possessed. But that's because she's a very good actress. But if you go back and watch that movie, when she said rock the boat and they showed her under the water. But Hype Williams is the one who made that video. And that lady Fatima Robinson is the one who did the choreography. Why are these people not speaking up? Why is Missy Elliott not speaking up? Why is Genuine not speaking up? Why is Timbaland not speaking up? And why is Lenny Kravitz sitting this funny looking ass over there twisting around, but he haven't spoke up yet? See, because when Kobe Bryant died, y'all gonna say what you want to say about his wife. Or they went up there, his wife, and those other people was like, oh, wait a minute, we need some accountability here. But Kobe Bryant was Kobe Bryant. And you can say whatever you want to say about Kobe Bryant and his wife, and about how his family poor. Kobe Bryant wasn't really fooling with his own parents. We don't know what really happened with Kobe Bryant and his parents, and why. But that's the same way with Vanessa and her mother. How her mother was saying she should get some money. And Vanessa could be evil, she could be vindictive and all of that. But at the same time, that's his wife. The wife is going to know stuff that Kobe will not tell the world. Just like Damon Dash claims to know something that he's going to tell. Damon Dash is going to tell someone else. You know why? Because once he tells this man, when everything come out, he can say, wait a minute, well, the same way he blaming the fans, he can say, well, I didn't want to tell, but I told you because I know that you're safe to tell. Why does he feel comfortable telling a man? I don't know his ethnicity, but I know he has a lot of Italian guys on his show. Why do he feel comfortable telling a man who's non-African American what happened to Aaliyah off the camera? Because you want to put that responsibility on somebody else. I'm sure he's not the first person he's told. Rest in peace, Aaliyah.